Hey Honors Physics, this is Mr. Hausman. This is a solution guide that you can use a couple of different ways. We're going to be looking at momentum problems, and not every class got to page 4. So this is similar to what we did in class on Friday, but a little bit of reinforcement, and you can either watch each moment of the video and look at how about the problem is solved, or you can just scrub through the video and look for solutions, right? Both are accomplished through one document. So I hope this is helpful. So let's take a look at a collision between a ball that is being thrown at a stationary bottle. This is like a carnival or state fair kind of challenge. This is set up a little bit differently than they are in real life, because this case, the ball is quite heavy, 0.5 kilograms. And if you read about it, the thrower has got a pretty good arm. 21 meters per second is like 40 miles an hour. That's maybe not a baseball player's pitch, but it's still pretty strong. The bottle is quite light. That's much smaller, 0.2 kilograms, and it's at rest. It doesn't say that, but if you've ever seen this carnival or a fair challenge, it's not really an activity. I guess it's an activity. The bottles are sitting there at rest, and you're trying to knock them over. So after the collision, we're going to look at how momentum is conserved. So we skip the top line, and we really shouldn't. But during this collision, the total momentum of both objects together, the ball and the bottle, should be the same as the total momentum of the system. That means the total of both of these objects before and after. Now, why are they linked like that? Well, because of the collision, because they interacted with each other. So let's go ahead and keep going. Let's set up the final conditions. Well, the bottle goes flying off. It's still 0.2 kilograms, and it goes flying at 30 meters per second. The ball, on the other hand, M1, has a final velocity. It's called V1 because it's mass 1, but prime because it's after the collision. Okay, so let's do some simplifying on the left-hand side. Half of 21 is 10.5 kilograms times meters per second. The 2 times 0, of course, does not contribute. And now we're left with, let's undo that. Let's put in the mass of the ball, 0.5 times V1 prime. But let's simplify 0.2 times 30, or a fifth of 30, that's 6. 6 momentum units. Well, to get V prime alone, we're going to have to subtract 6 from both sides, and we're going to be left with 4.5 kilograms meters per second equals 0.5 times V1 prime. So V1 prime, the final velocity of the ball, is 4.5 divided by 0.5, which is really times 2. And you of course get 9 meters per second. Now notice it came out to be a positive number. And why does that matter? Well, because velocity and momentum are both vectors. And since we made the 21 meters per second a positive velocity, and the ball was going to the right, the bottle, of course, had no velocity to begin with. Anytime the velocity is to the right, we know it's positive, and we can therefore deduce that the ball, after hitting the bottle, keeps going, keeps moving forward, really. It doesn't bounce backwards. In the real-life carnival or fair contest, the ball is actually very light and the bottle is very heavy, so you often don't knock over the bottle because the ball bounces off. It's a little bit like inertia, right? You're throwing it, there is a force involved, and you just don't have enough to knock the bottle over, so you don't win the prize. They're in the business of taking your money and not giving you prizes. Now let's go to bowling. Bowling is very similar. However, you hopefully can throw the ball with enough velocity that the bowling pin's inertia can be overcome, and we can actually give some of the momentum to the bowling pin, and it goes flying. So here comes Joey. He's bowling with a 7-kilogram bowling ball. He hits it with a velocity of 9 meters per second. I found that later on down in the problem. Here we've got a mass, and we've got a V1. But the bowling pin, think about what you've seen, their mass, right, 2 kilograms, it's at rest. They start at rest when they're set up on the lane. So that does not contribute to the momentum of the system. But we know that the momentum of the ball, right, tends to follow through. Okay, but we don't know that. So let's put in 7 kilograms times V1 prime. And the momentum of the pin, 2 kilograms, it goes flying forward. So forward is positive 14 meters per second. And let's put that in. Okay, now we can simplify. 7 times 9, there's a total of 63 momentum units, equals 7 times V1 prime. I keep writing VI. That's a mistake. I should clean that up. And therefore, we, of course, have to factor in the momentum of the bowling pin. 2 times 14 is 28. So 63 minus 28 is a total of 35 momentum units, equals 7 times V1 prime. Most of us can do this in our head. 7 times 5, so V1 prime, or the final velocity, is 5 meters per second. Again, it came out positive. So for the first few problems, all of these continue moving forward. Will they eventually bounce backwards? Well, that's a good likelihood, and you can tell that based on usually which object has more mass. But really, it's a momentum challenge. Let's keep going. So now, one thing I have to admit I forgot to do is I forgot to write the formula to begin with. We have m1v1 plus m2v2. That's saying the total momentum before the collision has to be equal to the momentum after the collision, right? It's not the masses that change, it's always the velocities that change. So the ball bounces backwards, and the vase, and this is throwing a football around the house, and the vase keeps moving in the forward direction. So m2 v2 prime. So what do we know? It's a deflated football. I guess that reduces its mass. And how fast is it being thrown? Let's read the sentence. After the collision, the football bounces back. So we actually don't know how fast he threw the football. So our unknown is actually over here. Okay, so that's a little bit of a new type of problem. The vase, of course, is 0.8 kilograms, but it's not moving. Usually, they're at rest. They're on display somewhere. Doesn't say that, but that's kind of inference from everyday life. Okay, the football, it says, bounces backwards. So its mass is 0.2 kilograms. The mass doesn't change. But moving backwards means that it's a negative velocity. Doesn't say that. It says straight back 3.9 meters per second. The vase, on the other hand, 0.8 kilograms, and its velocity, right, it goes flying off the shelf at 2.6 meters per second. And that's a positive velocity. And you can tell that because there's little notes here, and it says moves forward, okay? So what do we know? We know that the vase had no momentum initially. We know that the ball's initial mass and velocity are what we're trying to find. 2 times negative 3.9. And I misspoke there. I think it's 0.2 times negative 3.9. So you get positive 0.78 momentum units. 2.6 times 0.8 is going to be positive 2.08 momentum units. Okay, wait a minute. Forgot the negative sign here. Okay, now that makes sense. So when we combine our momentums on the left side, negative 0.78 plus 2.08 gives you a total net positive momentum, 1.3 momentum units. To get my V1, my initial velocity, of course we have to divide by 0.2, and you get a V1 of 6.5 meters per second. What was the total momentum before and after? Well, really, it was that 1.3 momentum units. I'm not really using that line like I have in past years, but it's up to you if you want to. If you want to acknowledge what was the total momentum, and you can either determine the P total from the initial conditions or the final conditions. In this case, we knew it from the final momentum, the sigma P final, and that allowed us to find the initial velocity. Okay, so I'm going to mute the audio, and we're going to just simply work on number 6 without any audio. We're just going to set up the equation and start plugging in so you can just check on your own.